That's my question to you.
Okay, no, I literally just answered you prior to that it's not the case that you always have to be doing a particular action.
Beautiful. So there's a point in time.
Listen. Okay. Can I finish and answer?
No, go ahead. I'm chilling.
Yeah, so stop interrupting.
I'm not. Hey, we interjecting each other, Itachi.
No, I'm not interjecting you. The only time where I interject is when you interrupt me.
No need to be feisty. Go ahead. If you say that you finish, go ahead.
No problem.
Hello, amazing viewers. Welcome to Religious Insight. And on today's episode of this amazing debate with God Logic, an arrogant female Muslim become an apostate on Tawhid. Let's find out the truth from this amazing video.
So, for example, we have the Quran, which comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which was delivered to us by the Prophet, peace be upon him, as well as the Hadith. As you would know, we don't just take Quran. And from that, we derive the legislations and legal rulings that we are to take from in terms of guiding our lives.
Okay, awesome. And so you also said worship, meaning he is the only one that is worthy of worship, right? Nothing else.
Right. Understand what worship is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you give a brief understanding of what we say that worship is?
I'm sorry?
Can you give a brief understanding of what the Islamic concept of worship is?
Oh, the Islamic. Oh, you just asked me what worship is. If you want to, I don't want to misrepresent you. If you can give me the.
So we direct all of our actions, such as things that you were just asking about right now, worship, lordship, and so on and so forth. All of these things are solely directed towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So though we get our legislation and rulings and so on and so forth from the Prophet Muhammad, it's not to say that we are worshiping him by means of obeying him, right? Because the obeying part is not the part in which we direct his We don't direct the actions that we do towards the Prophet, peace be upon him. We direct them towards God. So
got it. So who do you fully submit to when it comes to the Tawhid of worship?
To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by means of directing our actions towards him and him alone.
Do you fully submit to Muhammad as well?
Right, so we obey Muhammad, peace be upon him, submitting to him in the sense where if we were to direct our actions of worship towards him, no, we don't do that.
No, that's not what I asked. I asked, do you fully submit to Muhammad? I
clarified, that's why I made it specific, right? In terms of obeying him, we do follow the commands in which he was given by God to give to us. However, we do not direct these commands towards him. We only direct them towards God.
Is there ever commands that he may give that are not direct revelation from God?
No. All commands that come from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, are direct revelation from God.
Okay. And so the Tawhid of his attributes means that he is the only one that possesses these attributes?
Right. He's the only one that possesses them in the likeness in which they occur. So, for example, existence in and of itself, you and I may exist, but we do not exist in the same way in which God does. He exists independently, and he is only dependent upon himself. Right.
So he's the only self-sufficient one.
Exactly.
So he's the only self-sufficient one. He's the only one who's all powerful, the most merciful, and things of this nature. That all only belongs to him in those ways, right?
Exactly.
Those attributes. Okay. Is there anything that's uncreated that's not Allah?
Uncreated that's not Allah? What do you mean?
Is there anything in existence that is also uncreated, or is Allah the only one who is uncreated?
So if you mean by uncreated, do you mean necessary, or do you mean literally independent?
I mean that it's never had a point where it came into existence.
Okay, so to my knowledge, no.
Okay, so the attributes of Allah, would you say that they are distinct from Allah, or are they one with, are they Allah? Right,
so they are distinctions, and that does not mean that they are separate to him, right? So when we say that the attributes are a distinction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this refers to the fact that they are a counter-independent with his essence. Do you understand that?
Counter-independent with his essence, what does that mean?
Sorry, counter-dependent, my bad.
What does that mean?
Okay, so a counter-dependency just simply means that the essence and the attributes coexist with each other in order for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be who he is. He cannot exist with one without the other. For example, we can't say that an essence can exist without an attribute, and we can't say that an attribute can exist without an essence, right? So the two of them are necessary in order for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to exist. He can't exist without either one. just like
Okay.
anything else that exists, right? For example, if I was to say like a rock exists, okay, and that rock has absolutely no properties, well, that's not really something that we could say that exists, right? Properties are things that are used to define anything in particular that exists.
Okay. Can Allah exist without his speech?
Once again, I just said that attributes cannot exist without the essence, so no.
So Allah cannot exist without his speech.
Without his attribute of being able to speak, yeah, he can't exist without it.
Okay. Right. And so is the Quran Allah's speech?
Is the Quran Allah's speech? Yeah, it's part of the speech. It's not the entirety of the attribute of speech of Allah.
Okay. So it's part of the attribute of his speech.
Right,
Is the Quran created?
No, the Quran is uncreated.
The Quran is uncreated. The Quran is uncreated.
Let's understand what uncreated and created means. So when we say that the attributes and the things, the actions that come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are uncreated, we're talking about the existence of these particular things in general. So anything, any action in which God does, they are not dependent upon anything other than himself. When we say words like contingent, dependent, independent, so on and so forth, we're just simply meaning that they do not depend on anything else to exist other than the individual himself, which would be God in this case, right? He doesn't depend on, for example, you or I to exist in order for his attribute of speech or the result of the attribute of speech to exist.
Okay. So the Quran has never come into existence. It has always existed, correct?
What does that mean? Like, are you saying that the Quran didn't come into, for example, our world, or are you
No. I mean, like, there was never a point where the Quran did not exist.
Okay, so in terms of his knowledge, no, it's always existed. And in terms of the speech, I'm getting there, relax. Okay. And by the way, I didn't know that this was a Q&A session, but we'll go through it.
We're just talking. We're just talking about Tawhid.
Yeah, no problem. So in terms of the Quran, this is something that has always existed within the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In terms of the attribute of speech, obviously it's something that was brought forward towards his creation in order for us to also be able to acknowledge it.
So respectfully, that's not what I'm asking. So is Allah's knowledge distinct from his speech?
Is Allah's knowledge distinct from his speech? Yeah, sure. But in terms of, let me finish. Okay. So in terms of specific attributes of Allah, such as speech, such as knowledge, so on and so forth, there are particular attributes that do come into play together. For example, his speech and his knowledge. Without his knowledge, there would be no coherent speech, right? All of them have to come together in order to formulate particular things, which Allah does with intention, right?
No worries. But as soon as I'm glad though that you acknowledge that there is a distinction between Allah's speech and Allah's knowledge. They're not the same thing. So if they're not the same thing, and we can get past that, which is good. So the Quran, you said, is part of Allah's speech, right?
All right. It's from his speech. We wouldn't say necessarily part, but go ahead. If I said
part, that's what you said. I'm going with you. You said it's part of Allah's speech. So
I took it back. Hold on, I retracted it. If I said speech, I specifically said I retracted it. Go ahead. Don't build off of a false argument.
Oh yeah, I don't want to. I want to make sure we represent you correctly. So I'll ask you again. Is the Quran Allah's speech?
Yeah, it's from his speech. I didn't say it is his speech. Is the Quran Allah's speech? Yeah, it's part of the speech. Is
it his speech or not?
I just said it is not the entirety of Allah's speech.
So it's part of his speech.
Never said part.
I'm asking.
I said no.
So okay. So if it's not part of his speech, then it is his speech, right?
We say part. Okay. So the real understanding in terms of why we don't say part is because specifically when you say part, it means that there's a limit to something, or that it is a chunk of it, and so on and so forth, right? We're not to say that there's a limit to Allah's speech first and foremost, because it's something that can continue on and on, right? So it's not something that ends. We would say that it's from the speech, from the knowledge of God.
Okay, again. So if it's from his speech, the Quran is from his speech, then it is his speech, right? Now, when you say, wait, hold on, let me just preface it. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so
I'm sorry.
when
Let me
you
just
say
preface it.
is his speech,
Wait,
when you
Atachi,
say
please,
is his
please,
speech,
please.
you're saying
I listen
it's
to
the
you. I
entirety
listen
of
to
it.
you. Atachi, hold on a second. Hold on.
No, because
Let
you're
me.
cutting me off in the
No,
middle
no.
of me
I
giving
don't mean
an
to.
answer, right?
I'm sorry. I know. Let me
Yeah,
just
so let me
finish.
finish.
No,
Let
no.
me
Wait,
finish
please.
clarifying.
I'm
Okay,
respectfully.
so go
Let
ahead,
me
build off a
please.
false point. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. I'm not building off a false point. I'm
Sure,
just
go
building
ahead.
off what you
Go
said.
ahead, go ahead.
When you say, because you said this, that the Quran is not the entirety of Allah's speech. That literally means that the Quran then is part or a chunk of Allah's speech by default.
From
So-
it. Yeah, so we're not gonna, we don't have to deflect or desist towards the way that you want to clarify a particular point, right? So if I say it's from it, then I would ask you to acknowledge the terminology that I use.
I am. That's why I'm asking
Right,
you
that's why
a
I said
specific
from.
question when I
That's
said,
why I didn't say
is the Quran...
quotes, I said from.
So, okay, I'll ask again. When you said that the Quran is not entirely Allah's speech, right?
That's why I said it's from it for the 5th time.
Right. So when you say that it's not entirely Allah's speech, that means it is some of Allah's speech, correct?
It is
Not all of
from the speech. I never said it's some of it. I never
know
said
that-
it's part of it. I never said it's a chunk of it. That's clearly words that I did not use. So you can keep asking the same question 10 times or move on to the next one.
No, Itachi. Here's the thing, and I think that this is where you kind of got yourself in trouble, is with your terminology by using words like entirely, automatically by default mean that, okay, it is some of or a part of. When you say entire, it's not not the entirety of his speech. That means it is some of his speech or
Okay, go
part
ahead.
of his
Let's
speech,
flip
but
the
not in
argument.
full.
Sure. Let's go with that. Go ahead.
Let's go with that?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So the Quran is part of Allah's speech. So Allah's speech then has components to it. It can be divided in a way.
Okay, the speech, the attribute of speech, or are you talking about the contents?
Allah's speech. We're talking about Allah's speech.
The speech, no. The contents, sure.
Okay,
The
so
speech,
is
the speech in and of itself is an attribute. You understand that, right?
Sure.
When you say something, for example, you have the ability to do that, right? That's not to say that the attribute in and of itself is something that can be broken up. The contents, sure, I would agree with you.
Okay, so does the speech by necessity contain content within it?
The speech by necessity, no. The attribute in and of itself is something that you have the ability to do. Right? The speech, the content that comes afterwards, right? That's something different.
Okay, so when you said, because you affirmed earlier that the Quran is uncreated, right? It's not created. There's not a time where it came into existence, right?
Yeah, and what did I say uncreated means?
Well,
can you answer that?
That's why I'm trying to.
You did say that this was going to be a back and forth. So can you answer what I said
Yes. I actually clarified what I meant by uncreated, and you said yes, if I'm not mistaken.
What did I say it means?
So what I said that it means, and you agreed, is that there's not been a point in time that it came into existence.
Okay, and specifically what? Specifically what?
Specifically the speech.
Specifically that it does not depend upon anybody else in order for it to exist other than the source itself, right?
I'm not asking about dependency.
I gave you the understanding in terms of what we say when we mean things like contingent, when we mean counterdependency, and so on and so forth, right? These things are all only and solely dependent upon the self-existent one, which is God, which is Allah.
I'm not asking about dependency. I'm not asking about what it depends on.
I'm just clarifying to make sure that you don't end up strawmanning at the end.
Okay, good. I'm not so please clarify what I ask, not what I'm not asking. Okay? So do we agree then that the Quran is uncreated in the sense that it has never had a point in time that it came into existence? I can't hear you if you're off the screen getting help or something.
You want to keep going?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so in terms of what I was saying, in terms of there being a distinction between the speech and the content of the speech, what I mean by that is the fact that the attribute itself, which is from the asma al-fa'liya, right, because it's an action, the action itself is something which is uncreated, and the speech itself is, the content of the speech itself is also uncreated. Now, when we say that the content can be broken up, for example, when I say Bismillah, right? That's one of the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the Quran, right? Or from the uncreated speech that he has. But
Right.
this is not to say that the speech itself, the attributes can be broken up. Like I
Okay.
can't say part of his attributes is such and such.
Okay. So the words, what you said, the speech is an action, right?
Yes.
The attribute of speech is an action. And
Yes.
so the action of speech is doing what?
Okay, the action of speech is something that coincides in regards to Allah's essence and so on and so forth, and it allows him
What is
to,
it? What is this? What is
I'm
it? What
getting
is
there.
the action?
I'm getting
What is
there.
the action?
I'm literally getting there, right? So the action specifically allows for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to communicate in any particular way in which he
Beautiful.
feels.
Okay, so speech by definition is communication by necessity, right?
Sure. In terms
Okay.
of what? In terms of going for giving point A to an individual who is other than him?
Or no, not necessarily. Just it's communication. He's this attribute of speech.
So no, the attribute in and of
is
itself,
communication.
I would disagree with you. I disagree with you. So the attribute in and of itself is not something that necessitates another individual in order for you to be able to communicate, right? You could have an attribute and not necessarily be utilizing the attributes, for example.
Okay. So good. So if the attribute is there, right? Because you said speech is an action. You said it's an action.
Okay.
So this is something that is eternal, that's uncreated, that's always been. It's not been a time where it's not happening. Has Allah always been doing the action of speech?
Okay, so again, I literally just said, and by the way, this is the position that I hold to at the very least, right? In terms of what I just said, it does not necessitate the idea that you have to continuously be doing something in order for you to be inherently having a particular attribute. So I would disagree with that notion.
I'm sorry though, but as soon as you said that speech is an action, the attribute of speech is an action, then you have already conceded that speech is something that you're always doing. It's an action. It's not just something you're sitting.
Where's the connection to that? Can you please break it down a bit?
Sure. An action is something you do.
Okay, an action is something you do. I agree,
Yeah,
but I did not say.
So you can't.
Hold on. I never said that you have to continuously be doing the action in order for it to be considered uncreated in regards to Allah. That's not something that means.
Okay. So if speech by default is an action, according to you, is an action, it's something that Allah is doing forever, always, from eternity's past. You can't say that. You can't say that.
I never said that.
Well, if you're saying no. This is my. I'm sorry, Itachi. Hold on.
Okay,
This is me analyzing what you said and coming to his right conclusion. Now, if you're trying to say now that, well, no, his attribute of speech isn't something that he always does, it's just something he possesses, then you're not saying then that speech is an action. It's just some type of attribute that he has, but not an action.
What are you talking about? Okay, so when we say action, what do we mean by that? It's something that he particularly does, correct?
Correct.
Okay, beautiful. So from that particular action which he does, is it necessitated that he has to continuously be doing that action in order for it to be considered?
That's my question to you.
Okay, no, I literally just answered you prior to that it's not the case that you always have to be doing the particular action.
Okay, beautiful. So there's a point in time.
Listen, can I finish and answer?
No, go ahead. I'm chilling.
Yeah, so stop interrupting.
I'm not. Hey, we interjecting each other, Itachi.
No, I'm not interjecting you. The only time where I interject is when you interrupt me.
No need to be feisty. Go ahead. If you say let you finish, go ahead.
No problem. So, in terms of the action, once again, it does not have to be something that's continuously utilized in order for it to be considered uncreated, in order for it to be considered an attribute, and so on and so forth. Okay, go ahead. That's all I had to say.
All right.
And if you are,
so then that means. Wait. You just said you finished.
Go ahead.
All right. Beautiful. Ma'ashashua. So if you just said that it doesn't necessitate that he's always doing this action, right? Then there's a point in time where he does the action of speech. Then, right?
Okay. So going back to the definition I said of uncreated, since you clearly missed it, can you please go back to what I said uncreated refers to?
No, I can't, because that's not what.
Because you don't remember, which is why you're making this bogus point right now.
Yeah, no, I'm not though, because I'm talking about.
Actually, you are, because if you listen to what I said,
you're interrupting me now. You're interrupting me now. You're interrupting me now.
Yeah, you stopped. Actually, it was my
No,
turn.
I didn't.
If you could go back to it, you said no.
Wallahi, I didn't stop.
Continuing.
Wallahi, I didn't stop.
Actually, you did. I asked you to go back to the word.
So when you
definition.
said talking about uncreatedness, talking about dependability, and it doesn't depend on it depends on Allah for its yada yada yada. That's not what I asked. Uncreated meaning there hasn't been a time where this thing has come into being. That's what uncreated means.
Oh my
so
God.
Are we on the same page?
Uncreated, once again, does not refer to only what you're talking about right now. I already defined it multiple times.
Okay. Is there a sense of of something being uncreated that at some point in time came into existence?
Okay, so in terms of uncreated, the way that I defined it for you and the way that you're clearly trying to avoid right now is specifically the fact that it's unsourced from anything other than God, and it is solely dependent upon his existence. In terms of that, that's what we mean when we say that it's uncreated. In terms of it being a fa'ali attribute, which we understand the fact that it can occur in any particular moment in time, a fa'ali attribute occurs at a particular period where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals something. This is not to say that the Quran is created simply because it's also something that is part of other attributes as well, right? For example, it is something that comes from his knowledge, it is something that comes from his speech, it's something that comes from his wisdom, and so on and so forth. Each of these has particular manners in which it functions with the Quran.
Thank you. Do you, as a human being, rely on and depend on Allah for your existence?
Can you repeat that?
Do you, as a human being, rely on Allah solely for your existence?
Do I? Yes, I rely upon Allah for my existence.
Are you uncreated?
Am I uncreated? No, I'm not uncreated.
Thank you so much. So we just got rid of the fluff of by uncreated meaning something that solely depends on Allah for its existence or for its state of being. That's out the window. So
right,
we're talking about uncreated.
I'm not uncreated.
So, excuse me.
So you're
let me finish, please. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
I promise you. I'm gonna listen. I promise. So when we get that out the way, we see that things that depend solely on Allah for its existence, right, does not mean that it's uncreated. We know that we're talking about something that has either come into being or has always existed without coming into being, without having a beginning starting point. That's what we're talking about. So please don't go on anything else. This is what we're talking about, but when the term uncreated. Is the Quran uncreated in the sense that it has never had a time where it came into being?
Yes, it is. So
thank you.
Specifically, okay, can I finish?
Yeah, of course. Again, I just said thank you. Go ahead.
Without the ad-libs, please. Thank you.
No, with the ad-libs. You need the ad-libs. Thank you.
Okay, so you can keep going with the ad-libs, or we could get Central to moderate it. Which, by the way, you did the
first. We having a good conversation. Why are you so sensitive?
Right. So don't do the ad-libs. I'm just asking you for some decent respect, right?
Nah, I'm gonna do the ad-libs. It's part of my personality.
All right, so you won't be respectful?
I'm respecting you. Right? Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. So when it comes to the speech of Allah, when it comes to the Quran, again, it is uncreated by way of the fact that it comes from no one other than God, and the fact that it is something that has always existed with his knowledge, with his wisdom, and so on and so forth. When it comes to a fa'ali attribute, it is something that is used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to communicate it to us. This is not to say that it's created. It's not to say that this attribute of speech is created, and so on and so forth. Like, once again, and by the way, I would just want to clarify one thing that you were talking about as well. When it comes to the attributes and the unification of them, right, this is not to say that anything with regards to them is by default deferred from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the fact that it's, like, for example, what you were trying to compare it to when it comes to me and so on and so forth, right? If I exist, that's not to say that I exist just because because I exist created and so on and so forth, right? I exist by way of, for example, the fact that Allah has given life to me and so on and so forth. The way in which Allah's attributes exist is not the same way.
Okay, so we were disrespectful. Did you land? Okay, so the reason why I brought you up is because you were saying that you was giving your definition and meaning of uncreated to mean that something that the Quran is uncreated in the sense that It solely depends on Allah for its existence. It's not dependable on anything outside of Allah for its existence. That's why I went to you and showed you the fallacy in that type of definition, because that would mean then you're uncreated, because you rely solely on Allah for your existence. But you were able to recognize that, wait, no, I am created. So therefore, that definition doesn't work. Okay. Now,
Did I say? Hold on. Let me respond.
I let you go on for a minute. I let you go on for
so
a minute.
you don't want me to respond to what you just said?
You can respond in a second.
Okay, so go ahead. Spit fire points. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not trying to. You spit fire points.
I'm asking you if I could reply to a point, and then you want to spit
and the
fire.
answer is no.
Okay, so go ahead. Spit fire points. Go ahead.
All right, Ma'ashashu. Now you're saying that the attribute is uncreated also in the sense that it exists always within Allah's knowledge. The Quran is uncreated in the way that it existed always in Allah's knowledge. I'm going to ask you now, have you always existed in Allah's knowledge?
Okay, so did I say it solely exists only in Allah's knowledge?
No, you didn't. That was part of it.
Okay, what else did I say? So what else did I say specifically? Instead of straw manning, what else did I say?
I didn't straw man you.
Okay, so I'm asking you, what else did I say?
I told you what you just said. So can you answer?
So is it just the knowledge?
No. But that's what I'm asking you.
So what else was it?
So you said it depends solely on Allah for its existence, and it exists always in Allah's knowledge.
As well as
what else?
Yo, guys, we're kind of going in circles.
No, this is good right now.
But it's kind of like it's repetitive. If you're not understanding her, do you want me to bring someone up that can...
No, she's doing good.
Sorry, my mom.
Right, I'm not talking to nobody else, but either you or her.
Okay.
So from the knowledge, again, there is other things that come into play with it. Can you please repeat what the other things that came into play were that I said?
No.
I'm asking you because it was not the only one that I said.
And the answer is no. Itachi, I asked you
so
something very simple. Have you always existed? Have you always existed in Allah's knowledge?
Okay, is that the only thing that I said in which it comes to the Quran? Because I did not only
when it comes to its uncreatedness.
The difference between the Quran and myself is that obviously there are other things that come into play. What were the other things that I said?
Wait, hold on. Okay, I'll name what I remember you saying. Okay, and then hopefully you can answer. You said in relating to the Quran's uncreatedness that it's uncreated in the sense that it's always been in Allah's knowledge, and it solely depends on Allah for its existence. It's not dependent on something else for its existence, but solely on Allah's essence. That's what you said. Did I miss something?
Yes, you absolutely did, because that's not the only attribute I mentioned. What other attributes did I say?
Well, tell me so that way I can continue to ask you the question. Maybe you can finally answer.
Okay, so the main one being, the main one being is the one that you're asking about in regards to his speech, the one about his knowledge, the one about his wisdom, and so on and so forth. So can you please tell me how I applied each of them to the speech of Allah?
Wait, no.
Specifically the Quran.
It's not about that. It's this.
Actually, it is, because this is exactly the point
is the Quran Allah's knowledge?
You don't want to answer to it.
Is the Quran Allah's knowledge?
Okay, so I asked you specifically because I did not say that the Quran is only his knowledge, right?
So you're saying the Quran is a multitude of Allah's attributes?
I'm asking you to tell me which other attributes did I apply it to, and which ones.
No. If you apply other attributes to it, I'm simply asking you this question. Okay? Is the Quran a multitude of Allah's attributes?
Okay, so when you say multitude, do you mean that it's coming into play with other attributes, or are you saying that it occurs multiple different times in different ways?
No, so I'm asking the Quran itself, is it, because I know that it's Allah's speech, I know it's Kalam Allah. I'm asking, is it also knowledge of Allah? Is it also his knowledge? Is it also his other things?
Okay, so we would not, so the way that you're wording that is incorrect, right? We would not say that it's identical to the knowledge. We would not say it's identical to the kalam and so on and so forth, right? We would say that these are things that contribute to the Quran in and of itself, right? The Quran is from the knowledge of Allah. The Quran is from the speech of Allah. The Quran is from the wisdom of Allah. Not identical to each of the attributes. Do you understand?
Got it. So the Quran is not Kalam Allah. It has some of Kalam Allah in it.
Okay, it is
Kalam is speech for the people listening.
specifically from the kalam of Allah. I did not say some. I did not say part. So once again,
did when you
use
said
the
not
proper
entire.
terminology. Otherwise, you could just start referring to scholars and bringing their quotes up. If you
Okay,
think I'm
so-
misquoting something, by the way.
Okay, so let's just be clear, okay? Because I'm gonna ask you this very straightforward question one more time, so I can move on to the next question. Has there ever been a time where the Quran came into existence? Yes or no?
Okay. So once again, no. I've answered it 5 times. Do you have a new
Beautiful.
question?
Yeah, I do now. Is the Quran distinct from Allah?
Okay, so the Quran is from the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is distinct from him, not separate to him. It's something which is codependent, or if you want to say counter-dependent upon the essence and the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One cannot exist without the other.
Beautiful. Okay. Okay, good. Now, on the day of resurrection.
Really quick, can you just repeat what I just said?
No, I won't.
Okay, do you even understand what I just
on the
said?
day of resurrection, will the Quran intercede on your behalf?
Yeah, the Quran will intercede on my behalf. My fasting, if you want to finish quoting the hadith, my fasting will intercede on my behalf, and so on and so forth.
What does it mean to intercede?
Okay, so the intercession is by way, in this particular hadith, the way the understanding of the Salaf particularly puts it for this hadith is the fact that these things, the actions that we've done and so on and so forth, are things that are going to come in terms of the fact that we did these actions or we did not do these actions. That's all it is. It's not the fact that hold on.
What does it mean to intercede?
Let me finish. Okay, so intercession, again, in this particular hadith is the fact that our actions are going to testify for us on our behalf. That's why fasting is mentioned in the hadith. That's why Quran is mentioned in the hadith by means of the fact that you are reciting it, right? And the fasting by means of the way that you are actually doing the particular fasting and so on and so forth.
That's not what the hadith says. That's not what the hadith says.
That's literally, I could pull up quotes from the Salaf if you want.
Well, let's pull.
Wait, but what does this have to do with Tawhid?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm showing.
What does it have to do with Tawhid? Second, I can quote you. Hold on, I can quote you the Salaf interpretation.
Wait. I thought it was my turn to talk.
It was the first question you asked me if I follow the Salaf. If I pull up quotes for you right now, you're going to get busted.
Well, thank you. So now it's my turn to talk, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So when you say that these actions will testify on your behalf, testify to Allah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll be testifying to Allah on your behalf, including the Quran. The Quran itself, according to the Hadith, will intercede, will testify on that day on your behalf.
And how exactly did I say it was going to do that?
Well, you're saying that it's the action of you reciting it and things of this nature. Exactly. That's your understanding, right?
Beautiful. Go ahead. Yeah.
Very good. The Quran doesn't. The Hadith doesn't say that. The Hadith doesn't say that the way that you recited it and all that will be what comes and intercedes on you or speaks for you. The Hadith says that the Quran itself will intercede for you, talk back to Allah and say, Allah, this person recited me in this part of the night. This person recited me and did this such and such verses. So the Quran itself is going to speak the speech of Allah, or not some of the speech of Allah that is uncreated, that has always existed, that's not Allah but distinct from Allah, is going to, on the day of judgment, speak and defend you to Allah in which it's not separated from. I want to know, what is your problem with the Trinity if this is your belief?
Okay, so first and foremost, this has nothing to do with the Trinity. If you want to debate the Trinity formally about the logical coherency of it, I already offered you a debate to which you rejected yesterday, right? So we could do that. We could set that up, no problem. But in terms of this hadith, again, if you want, I will pull up quotes for you because you asked me about my position in the beginning regarding the Salaf, to which I told you I'm a Salafi, right? I take from the Salaf. If you want their opinion on this hadith where it affirms exactly what I said, I will give that to you. So which one would you like? Would you like to debate the logical coherency of the Trinity, or would you like to actually continue a discussion about Tawhid?
Yeah, we're actually talking about the logical coherence of Tawhid right now. And what I'm showing you is that, what I'm showing you, hold on, I just let you finish. What I'm showing you is that according to Tawhid, it's logically incoherent because you're saying that only Allah has these attributes of being, infinite, self-sufficient, eternal, uncreated, and things of this nature, that he's absolutely singular in his essence. He's absolutely singular in his essence. Yeah. Yet you have another thing that is not separate from Allah, but distinct from him, that is also uncreated because it shares in the essence of Allah, and will defend and speak for you, on your behalf back to Allah. The speech of Allah is going to speak back to Allah. So it's going to have some type of personhood or consciousness, at least in this moment, speak back to Allah. Right here in this in this time, you have a plurality of personhood or consciousness within Allah's essence. Or you just need to say that you have something else that's uncreated, that's not Allah.
Plurality. Yeah. Can you expand on the plurality part? Go ahead.
Yeah. The expansion is that you have Allah's speech or word that now develops some type of cognitive ability that's able to speak and have knowledge and defend you as a believer, knows what you did, and able to speak on your behalf and defend you to Allah, be able to speak to Allah. That's personhood. That's cognitive ability. Also, though, the Quran, as you said, is not separate from Allah. So it's within Allah. It's because it's from his speech. So it's from the essence of Allah. So within Allah's own essence, now you have a plurality of persons. It would seem.
Persons?
Yes.
Cognitive. So once again, I will offer you a debate on regards to the Trinity, right? But nobody, I mean, you could quote me any Salaf or any even like contemporary scholar in terms of somebody using the word persons. But I mean, you did say you want to do an internal critique of what Tawhid is, right? Or if you want to do an external one, by all means, but be sure that you know what words that you're using, right? So first and foremost, a plurality would refer to the fact that an attribute in specific occurs 2 times in Allah's essence, right? So the attribute in and of itself, does the attribute of speech occur 2 times in Allah? No, it doesn't, right? There's only one attribute of speech. We all understand what the word speech means, so on and so forth, right? There's only one attribute of knowledge, and likewise for all of the Quran. Once again, do you want me to quote you people from the Salaf because you asked me my position? So once again, I'm asking you, do you want me to quote you the people from the Salaf who tell you that this is the understanding of the Hadith, or do you want to keep expanding upon something that you have no knowledge about?
No. It's not that I don't want you to quote what your people say. I know what some of you guys say on the understanding how you guys try to interpret this Hadith. My thing is actually I'm critiquing your understanding and showing you how your understanding is a cop-out and going away from what the Hadith actually says. The Hadith doesn't say anything about, oh, well, it's it's in these particular actions. It's the reason that you recited the Quran and you believed in it and recited it, that the fact that you did that will be extra points for you on the day of resurrection. No. The Hadith says that the Quran itself will intercede for you, will speak to Allah for you. Not just that, but the Quran also will have 2 chapters that will split off and come as flocks of birds, right? Or clouds, it says, either birds or clouds. And they also will speak on behalf of you. And now, so you have really, it gets even deeper into an issue because you have the Quran that's uncreated. So obviously the contents within the Quran also, as you said, the contents of Allah's speech is uncreated. So then the contents of the Quran those 2 surahs that will come out like flocks of birds and intercede. So flocks of birds is many birds. So the chapters of the Quran turn into many different beings, come as a conglomerate, come as a collective, speak on your behalf. You have so many examples of the Quran being conscious and cognitive and uncreated, speaking back to Allah. You have so many pluralities either within Allah or you just have many gods. This is the issue.
Okay, so thank you for your Protestant exegesis of Islam, the Quran, the Sunnah, so on and so forth. But yet again, you still want to defer away from my position, right? I don't care about your Protestant view when it comes to sola scriptura and so on and so forth. For the 5th time now, I'm going to ask you, do you want me to actually give you the people who affirm my position, or are you going to continue with an exegesis that has no basis and so on and so forth? Because obviously the hadith doesn't say that first and foremost it's going to come as a human. It doesn't say anything regarding the fact that the Quran itself is
not true.
Particular. Can I finish, or you?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Right. So the Quran and your fasting is going to intercede for you. Now, if it's the case you want to focus on the Quran, can I just ask you, if it's the case that my fasting is not a particular object or thing that I'm holding in my hands that's tangible and so on and so forth, can you please tell me how exactly that's supposed to testify for me? Since you want to give exegesis, go ahead.
Oh no, well, no, it's very simple. Allah has the ability to give fasting, create fasting some type of corporeal form where it can speak to you, where it can intercede for you, where it can defend you.
Hadith?
So you asking me,
is that in the hadith?
Break this down and make it make sense for me.
Oh, but is that in the hadith?
This is Atachi. This is not my problem. This is yours.
I'm not sure, because
so wait, excuse me.
Complained to me about the
if
fact
your Quran, why are you interrupting me after you ask me a question?
Yeah, I asked you a question, and now you're giving an exegesis, not only an exegesis, but an interpretation.
Why are you interrupting me, Atachi?
Yeah, I'm asking you to stay on the same exact point that you were asking.
I'm answering your question, Atachi. You told me to answer your question.
Because I asked you, where in the hadith does it say that the fasting itself is going to testify for you as a human?
It says that fasting,
and so on and so forth. If it's the case, fasting is an action. Go ahead.
I got you. It says fasting and the Quran will intercede for a man. Fasting says, "Oh my Lord, I have kept him away from his food and his passions by day, so accept my intercession for him." Your hadith
and is fasting a tangible thing that actually exists?
Let me finish, please, Atachi.
Right, so is fasting a tangible thing that actually exists?
I promise you I will listen. I promise.
Yeah, go ahead.
I promise when it's your turn, I'll listen.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so according to the hadith, however it happens, well, let's just say Allahu Alam. Allahu Alam, we don't know how it happens.
Yeah, go ahead.
The fasting will have the ability to speak and say things and defend you on the day of resurrection. Not my problem. This is your problem. So you have the fasting and the Quran that develop a consciousness that's able to defend you on the day of judgment. The problem here is not with the fasting, because the fasting is not some uncreated attribute or uncreated thing that has always existed, but the Quran is. So you have the Quran that exists within Allah's essence, that is eternal and uncreated, that now has a consciousness and is speaking to Allah. You now have a plurality of persons within Allah's essence.
Okay.
Tawhid.
Are you done? Okay, no problem. So, God logic, can I ask you a basic question regarding the Arabic, right? What does the word Quran mean?
Recite.
Okay, and what is fasting?
Fasting is when you abstain from certain things.
Would you agree that these are two actions?
Sure.
Okay. Are these two actions particular things according to this hadith that I have done in my lifetime that are attesting for me?
Sure.
Okay. So if it's the case that it's my actions attesting for me, does anything in the hadith imply that this thing is going to now become a bodily form? Does it say anything about a body, or is that something that you're just simply implying based off of
I never said body. So number one,
okay.
I never said
so
body.
Does it say anything
I said they will have the
material?
ability to speak, and now it's
so I'm asking. Okay, so I'm clarifying.
I never said body. So
hold on.
Remember how you stopped me when you said I was building a point off of a straw man?
I let you finish.
Yeah, I just don't want you to build a point off of
no, I'm not straw manning. The only one straw manning is the one that's taking the hadith out of context, right?
So did I say fasting will have a bodily form?
So again, I'm asking, right? Because you said that Allah can manifest.
Did I say that the fasting will have a bodily form?
Yes, you did. You said that Allah can make it so that it manifests as a corporeal sense. I can clip it and send you it.
So wait. So me saying corporeal doesn't.
Corporeal, literally.
Corporeal. I never said that it will have a physical body, though. I never said it has to have a physical body.
Okay, so
corporeal form means it's visible as some type of way that it's going to speak.
Okay. So we're going to look up the definition of the word that you don't know that you're using, and we're going to just see what it means. Okay. So, Central, can I get big screen, please? And you said corporeal doesn't refer to the fact that it's a body?
No, what I was saying is that I'm not talking about that the fasting is going
But
to
you
have
did
a
say
physical
corporeal,
body. I never
correct?
said that.
You
I
said
said that's
corporeal.
probably going to come into some corporeal form. I said Allahu Alam. Who knows?
Okay, but
We
not a
just know that
body.
it's going to develop a consciousness and be able to speak.
But not a body.
Go ahead. Make your point.
Okay, so the word
I'm about to show you how
corporeal,
this
the word
backfires.
corporeal quite literally means having a body, right? That's the word that you just used, right? Corporeal. It literally means having a body. Right. So I'm asking you again, does the hadith say anything about these two particular actions, which you agreed are actions? Does it say anything about them coming in a material form? Yes or no?
Okay. So can I answer you in full without interruption?
Yeah, please answer me directly.
Thank you so much. So what I'm saying is I said Allahu Alam, who knows how the fasting is going to speak. Maybe it will come into a corporeal body. And you corrected me. Thank you. You corrected me by corporeal, literal, or some material form. Okay. So I'm not too arrogant enough to be like, oh, or try to hold it. You're right on that. So, but I'm saying Allahu Alam. I'm not making this point. Like, I never said that, oh, the fasting is going to have some corporeal form, like it's going to be like a definite, it's going to have a physical body. That's not the point I said. I was giving that as an option. Okay. So, but what my point is that fasting and the Quran will develop a consciousness. Okay. Whether it's through a physical form, the Quran or the Hadith is not specific on that. Okay. No problem. Now, here's my question to you, because you talked about these actions. Okay. Here's my question to you, right? The Quran, is the Quran an action?
The recitation of the Quran, yes, which is with literally.
I literally did not ask that. I asked,
yes, it's
is
a recitation.
the Quran
it's an action.
Huh?
The Quran, the recitation of the Quran is an action.
I didn't ask that. Did I ask that?
Okay. So it does not exist on its own, right? Words don't just float around by themselves.
Atachi,
so I'm answering you directly.
Atachi,
I'm answering you directly. It's not
Atachi,
an action.
Atachi, you know
the
how
word in and
you know
of
how
itself
you
is
stopped me
not
to
an
answer you
action.
directly? I'm not asking about the
literally answering you
recitation.
directly.
Let me ask you this. Is there a distinction between of the recitation of the Quran and the Quran?
Okay. So the Quran in and of itself is a recitation. Yes or no?
No, you're not answering the question. Is the recitation of the Quran, let me ask, please. Is the recitation of the Quran and the Quran two distinct things?
Okay. The Quran, again, for the third time, the Quran is a recitation. It's not something that exists on its own, right? It's not a book. Like, for example, the book in and of itself, we don't call it Quran. Hold on. We don't call the book the Quran. We call that the Mus'haf. Yeah. So the Mus'haf, the one with ink and letters and so on and so forth, is not what we consider the Quran.
Yeah,
the Quran we consider a recitation. That's all it is.
Very good.
That's an action. It requires a bodily thing, such as myself, or in the case of Allah, it requires Allah to enact a particular form of speech.
Did the Quran, this recitation, exist before it was revealed to Muhammad?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so the Quran, this recitation, the Quran, existed in and of itself before it was recited by mankind. It was recited by Allah, right?
Yeah, do you know what the Lawh
Would you agree
al-Mahfuz
that the Quran exists in the mother of the book?
the Lawh al-Mahfuz, yeah.
Very good. So it is actually in the mother of the book. Very good. So the Quran.
Do you know what the mother of the book is?
So, excuse me. So
okay, I'm asking just to clarify. Do you understand what Lawh al-Mahfuz is?
It's the mother of the book.
What is that?
So hold on. No, that's not the question.
I'm just asking you. What is that?
Wait, guys. What does this have to do with Tawhid?
It has everything to do with it. It has everything to do with it. Watch. So the Quran exists in the mother of the book before mankind ever recited it. It existed. It was its own thing, right? When Muhammad recited,
what do you mean own thing?
When Muhammad recited,
just clarify. What do you mean own thing?
When Muhammad recited, he recited the Quran, correct?
Correct.
So the Quran is actually a thing that exists, correct?
Right, so when we say Iqra al-Quran, okay. So when we say Iqra al-Quran, right, we're referring to the particular thing in and of itself. When we refer to the Quran on its own, we're talking about the recitation of the revelation that Allah gave to Jibreel, who gave it to Muhammad, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Very good.
So again, the Quran in and of itself is not something that just exists on its own. Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz is specifically something in which Allah had transcribed it. So again, a transcription is not the same thing as the recitation in and of itself. So please, if you will, not strawman, and refer to things that are transcribed, because I literally told you about 4 times. I'm trying to finish.
Is the Quran distinct from the mother of the book?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I am trying to finish, right?
Oh, okay,
so
sorry, go ahead.
Again, the Quran in and of itself is a recitation. When we say the Quran is transcribed onto particular things, for example, Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, for example, the Mus'haf, and so on and so forth, these are transcriptions of the Qira'ah, right? The Qira'ah in and of itself is an action. Can you please stick to that point?
No, I need you to stick to the point. When you say that the Quran is in the mother of the book, it's in the mother of the book. So the Quran is actually a thing that's in the mother of the book, correct? I just need a yes or no on this.
A transcription of something does not refer to the fact that it's the original thing.
Is the Quran in the mother of the book or not?
Is the mother of the book the original source of it?
I'm asking, is the Quran in the mother of the book? Yes or no?
Okay, even if I answer yes, it still does not change the fact. It's not the original source of it.
Yes.
Yeah, so why don't you try to listen to the answer, right? Because I'm quite literally
yes if it's yes.
I literally just did.
Okay, thank you. So that's all you got to do. Just stop there.
Okay, is that the source of it?
So if the answer is yes, the Quran is in the mother of the book.
So is the mother of the book the original source of the Quran?
We're not asking that. You're not.
I am asking that
why
because
can't
if it's
you answer the question before you ask another one?
So beautiful. So I'll explain to you why I'm not answering your question.
I don't need you to explain to me why you're not answering. I need you to answer the question.
Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, the mother of the book that you keep referring to, is not the original source of the Quran. When it's transcribed, again, bro, Central, you're gonna have to moderate this, or else I'm not gonna be able to actually answer fully.
You're not answering nothing. You have to.
Right.
I'm actually trying to.
Go ahead. Respond. Go ahead.
Okay. So when it comes to Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, this is not the original source of the Quran. The original source goes back to the creator who recited it. Again, it being a recitation, it is an action. Okay, when the creator, for example, would transcribe it onto Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, when the creation transcribes it into the Mus'haf and so on and so forth, this does not change the original form of the Quran being a actual recitation. That's not how this works, right? A transcription does not take away from the original attribute of it being a recitation, of it being speech.
Okay.
Can you please answer?
Are you done? Are you done?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I would like
Thank you so much. So since you're unwilling to actually answer my question, I'll help you. When you say that the Quran is just a recitation, it's just the action of reciting. That's it. It's just the action of reciting. It's not an actual book. It's not an actual book, even though the Quran says that it's an actual book. This is the book revealed to you.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did. You said it's not
No, I didn't. I said
yes,
that the original source of it being a recitation.
Wait, stop, please, stop.
Oh my God.
You literally said the Quran is not a book, it's a recitation, it's an action. You literally said that. So now that I got you,
when I referred to that, I was talking about the Mus'haf, right? Again, I'm talking about the book that you hold in your hands.
It's very simple. Is the Quran a book?
I'm talking about the book that you hold in your hands, or Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, which is also something that's transcribed. It is not being the original source of it.
Is the Quran a book?
Oh my God. Okay. The original source of it is a recitation. It being written down into the book. Okay. It being written down into a book form, the way that we understand a book today, is not the original source of it. So once again,
is it a book? Yes or no?
It is one of the revealed books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which was originally from his speech.
So it's a book. Thank you. So the Quran is a book that's revealed from Allah. Thank you so much, Itachi. So the Quran is a book that's revealed from Allah.
How is it revealed? How is it revealed?
Hold on.
Right, so how is it revealed?
Thank you for finally answering after the marathon. So hold on a second, please.
Okay, so how is it revealed? You're getting a little bug-eyed right there. How is it revealed?
Excuse me.
Okay, go ahead. I'll just ask you a question.
Thank you so much. So this is where you got caught. You got caught when you just tried to simplify or oversimplify the Quran as simply being an action. You said out of your own mouth that it's not a book. You said that. So you went against your Quran, but now you're acknowledging that the Quran is a book. It's one of Allah's revealed books. Very good. So now, when the hadith over here says, fasting will intercede for you, and also the Quran will intercede for you. not you, not your action, not what you're doing. The Quran, the revealed book of Allah, is going to intercede for you on your behalf. And guess what? The revealed book of Allah, the Quran, is uncreated, it's eternal, and it's within Allah's essence that develops a consciousness that's able to defend you and talk back to Allah. You have, Itachi, a plurality of persons within your Allah. Tawhid destroyed.
When we say that it is from the speech of Allah and that this is the original source of it, meaning what? Is this an action or is this a book that you hold in your hands? Do you hold somebody's speech in your hands?
Allah's speech is the Quran that he declares is a book that he revealed, right?
Okay,
right?
Can you answer my question?
No, I am answering you. I'm answering you through the question.
No, you're not direct.
Like how you like to do.
So can you hold somebody's speech in your hands?
Like you like to do.
Right, so can you hold somebody's speech in your hands?
No, you can't.
Okay, beautiful. So is the Quran
Can you hold someone's speech in a book?
Okay, is the Quran a speech?
The Quran is a speech and it's a book.
Okay, which book?
One of Allah's revealed books, according to you.
Okay, is this the book that we hold in our hands today?
You tell me.
No, absolutely not, right? Because I already clarified for you the fact that the Mus'haf, again, don't interrupt me, right? So the Mus'haf is not what we refer to being the Quran. Did I not say this already like 3 times before?
Yeah, is the Quran a book that exists?
Okay, beautiful. So is that the book that we hold today, yes or no?
Wait,
so it's my turn to ask the question. You asked like 20 at a time, so I'm asking you a basic question.
I'm responding now. You just made a point.
So answer my question.
So the Quran. So you agree though that the Quran, because you already affirmed this, that the Quran is one of Allah's revealed books. I'm using your own words. So if the Quran is one of Allah's revealed books, now you're saying, well, it's not a book in which we understand a book to be today, like a physical mushaf. Fine, no problem. But it's some type of book, right? That Allah says is a book that He revealed. Now, this book within itself intercedes for you, speaks on your behalf, is uncreated, and is within the essence of Allah. There's no way around it. Asking these other little rabbit trail questions doesn't help the fact that Tawhid, you just destroyed it.
Right. So once again, straw manning, right? So again, can you answer my question directly? Is speech something that you can hold in your hands?
I already answered this. Why are you asking it again?
Yeah, because you don't want to actually answer it. You keep jumping around, asking 10 other things. Tawhid is destroyed, so on and so forth.
Question.
So is speech something that you hold in your hands?
I'll do it again. Speech is not something that you can physically hold.
Okay, beautiful. Is the Quran a speech?
Yes, and a book.
Okay, which book?
One of Allah's revealed. We're doing this again?
Okay, which one? Which one? Is it the Mus'haf or is it al-Lawh al-Mahfuz?
What's that?
Is it the Mus'haf or is it the Lawh al-Mahfuz?
What exactly are you asking? I know you're talking about the mother of the book.
When we're talking about, when we say that the Mus'haf, what we hold in our hands today, is that what we use to refer to the Quran, or are we referring to the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
That's one of Allah's books that's revealed, that's up there with
Not
Him?
the question I asked you.
Yeah, it is the question you asked.
Actually, no, it's not. I asked you, is it the Mus'haf or is it the speech that we refer to in terms of Allah?
Again, you said that the Quran is not the physical books that you have here on earth. You said so, but you affirmed that the Quran is one of Allah's revealed books that is basically, it's immaterial. It's not something you can hold and touch and feel. It's immaterial. So the Quran is an immaterial book, right? That is the speech of Allah. Some of the speech, not entirely, some of Allah's speech, an immaterial book that exists within the mother of the book that is with Allah, that will also intercede for you and speak on your behalf.
Are you done? Can I get an answer to my question now instead of the
Are you serious?
Yes, I am serious, because you keep referring to something I'm not asking you.
Tachi, I don't know how many times you want to do this.
Right, because you don't want to answer the question. Like, I can be very persistent when it comes to getting a question answered. If you don't want to answer it, you could just say so. Right, I could give you the answer if you'd like.
You want to do this again? Hold on, let me check if my salmon's done, because I cooked you. Let me cook my salmon. So yeah, I think that I think that this was pretty clear. This is why I think everything that's been said has been said. You went back and forth on this is what we got on a little summary. That the Quran is is some of Allah's uncreated speech. So Allah's speech has parts. The Quran is not entirely Allah's speech, it's some of Allah's speech, not entirely. So it's made up of parts. So logical problem of the attributes of Allah, I guess we can come up with this. The LPA, logical problem of attributes.
Okay, welcome back guys. I believe that was very entertaining and also very educating from God Logic. And this lady, though she was very arrogant towards the end of the video, and you see that she was beginning to get angry with the way she was speaking, and I give it to God Logic for that calmness that he responded to her in a respectful way despite her temperament, despite the way she was speaking. And to be honest, the way most Muslim ladies act towards people of other faith is exactly who they are behind the veil of Islam and behind the veil of their hijab, because in a way they can never say or do half of what they do to men of other faith to a Muslim man, because they know the punishment that will come after that. So they feel comfortable disrespecting people of other faith than they do to their male counterparts. So it is very disheartening. You don't come to a debate with such anger. Debate is a platform for you to learn about your own faith and also to do away with some other teachings that do not correlate or in accordance to your belief. That is the essence of debate. You can be wrong and you can still be right, so there is no point getting angry. If you are right, there is no point of you getting upset and arrogant, and if you are wrong, then you don't have the right to be angry. She getting angry and being arrogant speaks more about her person and also about Islam than just this debate. And if you claim only Allah have his own attribute, that there is no other creation under heaven or in heaven with Allah that have his attribute, but only Allah has his own kind of attributes, and at the same time you say your Quran is uncreated, taking on the attribute of Allah as uncreated, then at this point you have two uncreated, Allah and his Quran. If you're saying there is no Allah's creation that has his attribute, and at the same time you're telling us that the Quran is uncreated, taking on the attributes of Allah, it means that you have two uncreated, Allah and his Quran. If you claim Allah and his attribute, which is his word, the Quran, are separate from each other, then you have two uncreated. And if you say they are one, then at this point you have to believe and embrace the concept of the Trinity. So at this point many of them get trapped and they can't go beyond this point, and I believe that is the reason why many of them tend to get angry, because they can't go beyond this point. If Islam claim the word of Allah is uncreated and they also believe that Jesus is the word of God, meaning Jesus is uncreated, taking on the attributes of Allah, at the same time making him equal with Allah. Remember, the Quran and the Muslim believe that Jesus is the word of Allah, that he is the Karimatu, that he is the word of Allah, and they also believe that the Quran, which is the word of God, is uncreated. If Jesus is the word of Allah and also the Quran is the word of Allah, you have two words of Allah in the Quran. But if you say Jesus, who is the word of Allah, is the word of Allah personified, then he is also uncreated for being the word of God, and he has at this point taken on the attributes of Allah, making him equal with Allah. So Jesus is Allah and Allah is Jesus at this point. Guys, let's know your view about this video in the comment section. What you were able to learn watching this video, let us know in the comment section. And if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, you are robbing yourself of learning greatly from our platform. Let us know your views also, and don't forget to subscribe, like our video and share it with your friends and your family. Thank you for watching. See you in our next video.